All right. Dewi, having a wonderful time here with you down in Cornwall. Been just a special few days that we've had together. But you and I have been having a chance to talk about the new Calvinism, and this has been a concern with a lot of pastors over here in England and Wales and so forth. Could you just kind of explain to our people at Berean what is the concern that you see or that these men are seeing about the so-called new Calvinism and what's happening with this movement?
Yes, well, maybe start with the kind of classic definition of true Calvinism that we use here in recent years, referring to the three R's. Sort of making use of that reading, writing, arithmetic. That is Reformed doctrine, radical change of life, and reverence and worship. And if all three are not there, then it's not true Calvinism. Very often in New Calvinism, the Reformed doctrine is the one that is there or more or less there, and especially reverence of worship is a problem, and even a radical change of life in some cases. But with reverence of worship, what happens is it's a marriage between sort of good preaching, Calvinistic preaching, and the worship really derives from the charismatic movement, but not in the hand waving, but more in the songs and the style of songs, which is contemporary worship. So they join contemporary worship and good preaching. So typically you might have a church which is supposedly Calvinistic, and they use that phrase quite readily, doctrines of grace, but the whole worship is more casual. The fear of God is not there, reverence is not there. I think also in the preaching it can be a little bit almost like acting, and a lot of, not that there's anything wrong with per se with not wearing a tie, but typically they wouldn't wear a tie and they've been a shirt, they wander around. It's all very dramatic, and I think just lacks that genuine cutting edge of fear of God, presenting Christ to people who are lost in their sins. And probably I've some of the things I could say, but that's all that comes to mind at the moment, unless you want to ask me a question about.
That's good. I know that a lot of these churches that are kind of in this leaning that way, a lot of these pastors will quote Calvin or
yes.
Lloyd Jones
Yes,
or Spurgeon, and yet and I know that if these men were alive today, they would not have anything to do with this kind of flippant attitude, careless worship, and for me, when I look at these kind of things, that there seems to be a lack of true seriousness about what they're doing, and I think they're more of a problem to the culture than an antidote to it. And I think what we really need is godly men in the ministry, don't we?
You get a whole spectrum. You get the ones who are clearly New Calvinists in their very demeanour, and others who have just a little bit of it, and but it's like a plague really. And I think what we need is men filled with the Holy Spirit, preaching Christ with the fear of God, and a real sense of joy and worship all together, just like you get in revival days. Somehow it's removed from that, and you only have to be in the service for a short time to realise which is which, I think.
Yeah. One final thing you shared with me a few days ago. We were together. You mentioned that when Lloyd Jones was not doing well or sick or whatever, he made a comment that I thought was very, very insightful. Can you tell us what that was?
I think the one you're referring to is when he was unwell in, I think, 1968, and couldn't preach himself and was attending services, and he said, I don't want to hear a good sermon, I want the man to take me to God. And of course Lloyd Jones was the one who brought good preaching and expository preaching back to the country. He believed in good sermons, but the point he made was, it's more than a good sermon. We have to come into the presence of God. You want a man to take you to God. He was in a situation where he was needing comfort and help and strength, and he wanted that from the pastor. And that's a reminder really of our task. It's not just preparing good sermons. We have to take the people to the Lord and his glorious presence.
I think that really sums it up well, isn't it? A lot of the things going on in so many churches today where they claim to be Calvinist, you really don't have that sense that you're coming into the presence of God.
No.
And like you said, the fear of God and the reverent worship and seriousness of worship is just gone. Yeah. Anyway, thanks so much. That'll be a blessing to our folks. And again, we've had a great time here with you here in Cornwall.
Likewise.
God bless.